It lives in the space between moments, in the pause after a conversation, in the silence before sleep, in the echo of something that almost happened and never did. It is not dramatic. It is subtle. A gentle replay of memories, read until they feel heavier than they once were. Overthinking is not chaos. It is order taken too far. It is the mind trying to protect itself by never stopping. By explaining, rehearsing, predicting, until life becomes something observed instead of lived. Until every feeling is analyzed into a stranger. Until every joy is followed by an interrogation. And the strange truth? Overthinking does not arrive as pain. It arrives as intelligence. As depth. As awareness. It convinces the mind that thinking more will finally make things safe. That if every outcome is considered, then nothing can hurt as deeply. But safety built from endless thought begins to feel like a locked room with no windows. The world continues outside. Conversations keep happening. Time moves forward. And yet, inside the overthinking mind, everything is still. This story is not about a broken mind. It is about a tired one. A mind that learned, somewhere along the way, that silence was dangerous. That uncertainty could not be trusted. That every emotion must be understood before it could be felt. This is the dark side of constant overthinking. Not that it makes someone weak, but that it makes them disappear. Chapter 1. The Mind That Never. There is a peculiar weight in having a mind that never rests. While the world drifts into sleep, while streets empty and lamps flicker in quiet rooms, the overthinking mind is wide awake. Thoughts arrive like persistent footsteps in an empty hall, each one echoing, overlapping, refusing to settle. One thought leads to another, and before the night ends, a single moment is replayed 100 times, dissected from every angle, until it loses its shape entirely. It is a life lived in rehearsal. Conversations are replayed not for amusement, but to catch what was missed, to find the words that might have been better, to anticipate the judgment of others. Decisions are never simple, because every choice is measured against invisible specters of regret, fear, and what-ifs. In this mental landscape, the heart's rhythm is often slower than the mind's, leaving the body feeling hollow, drained, as if the weight of thought has been placed on the soul itself. Overthinking is a solitary companion. Even among people, there is a quiet separation, a sense that while others exist in the flow of life, the overthinker lives in its reflection. The laughter of friends, the warmth of touch, the fleeting thrill of spontaneity, all are filtered through layers of analysis. Joy is hesitant. Peace is fragile. The mind, relentless and vigilant, refuses to be present. And yet, there is a subtle irony. The very vigilance that creates exhaustion also carries a certain intimacy with life. The overthinker notices details others overlook, a fleeting glance, the subtlest change in tone, the whisper of emotion in a silence. The cost is high, but the sensitivity is profound. Here lies the paradox. A mind so alive, so awake, that it forgets to be here. Constant overthinking is not loud. It does not announce itself with drama. It seeps quietly, persistently, leaving a trail of invisible fatigue, and a longing for stillness that feels impossibly far away. Chapter 2. Where? Every restless mind has a beginning. For some, it is a childhood threaded with unpredictability, a house where emotions shifted like weather, where safety depended on reading the room, on knowing what not to say. A laugh could turn into anger. A hug could feel conditional. In these spaces, the mind learned early, vigilance is survival. Thought became armor, prediction became a shield, and overthinking was not a flaw, it was a quiet, necessary skill. For others, it began with loss, sudden, quiet, or so subtle it was almost invisible. A parent who left emotionally, a friend who betrayed trust, a moment of humiliation that lingered long after the world forgot. The brain, unwilling to endure pain twice, began rehearsing scenarios, measuring risk, calculating escape routes before the next disappointment arrived. Overthinking was the mind's attempt at safety. Even small, unnoticed patterns contribute. A classroom where one was constantly compared, a childhood marked by subtle criticism, a household where mistakes were magnified, each experience layered onto the next, reinforcing a truth the overthinking mind would carry into adulthood. The world is uncertain, and it is better to be prepared, always prepared. Yet, paradoxically, this protective mechanism often becomes its own trap. What once kept the child safe begins to confine the adult. Thought loops, once survival strategies, persist long after danger has passed. A mind trained to anticipate pain now anticipates life itself. Every choice, every conversation, every silence. And still, there is tenderness in this origin. The overthinker is not reckless or careless. They are cautious, aware, and deeply sensitive. What feels like excess is rooted in care. In attempting to guard against the unpredictable cruelty of life, the mind has created its own labyrinth, intricate, delicate, and sometimes inescapable. Here lies the beginning of the story. A mind shaped by necessity, now wandering freely in its own thoughts, searching endlessly for the stability it once needed so desperately. Chapter 3. The Science of Stuck Thought. Overthinking is not merely a habit, it is a biological rhythm, a neural pattern etched deeply into the brain's circuitry. Neuroscience reveals that the mind's threat detection systems, the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, can become overactive, like a security alarm that never sleeps. In this state, thoughts spiral, looping endlessly, as if each repetition might uncover a hidden solution or avert an imagined disaster. Psychologists describe this as rumination, a cognitive feedback loop where thinking becomes self-perpetuating. One worry leads to another, and another, until the mind feels simultaneously hyper-alert and exhausted. Overthinking is often fueled by uncertainty and ambiguity. The unknown triggers the brain's protective instincts. The body responds with subtle stress signals, tension in the shoulders, shallow breathing, a restless stomach. Even when the danger is imagined, the body reacts as if it were real. Sleep, the most restorative human state, becomes fragmented. Thoughts intrude during quiet moments, during meals, during work, and especially in bed. The mind rehearses conversations that never happened, debates choices that were already made, and questions feelings long after they first occurred. Each replay releases stress hormones, keeping the system in a low-level state of anxiety, eroding calm. The science of overthinking also touches memory. The hippocampus, responsible for consolidating experience, struggles to organize moments that are endlessly analyzed. Memories become tangled, past and present overlapping, creating a sense of confusion and emotional heaviness. Yet there is nuance here. The overthinking mind is not defective, it is intensely attuned. The same neural mechanisms that allow for creativity, empathy, and insight can, when overstimulated, create mental turbulence. Overthinking is the shadow cast by sensitivity and awareness, a mirror showing both strength and vulnerability. Understanding this pattern, the brain's propensity for loops and replay, does not solve it. But it illuminates why the overthinker feels trapped within their own mind. The mind is alive, restless, and exquisitely alert, and sometimes, that very alertness becomes a cage. Chapter 4. When Thoughts Become Identity. There is a subtle transformation that occurs when overthinking persists long enough. The mind begins to confuse itself with the self. Thoughts, once tools for understanding, gradually become markers of identity. Who I am, and what I think, merge until a person measures their worth, their reality, and even their emotions by the activity of their mind. In this fusion, feelings are filtered through analysis. Joy is scrutinized. Is this real? Will it last? Am I allowed to feel it? Fear is amplified. What if it's too much? What if I fail? Every decision becomes a negotiation between thought and self, until life itself is perceived as a problem to be solved rather than an experience to be lived. The inner conflict grows quietly, like a shadow stretching across a room. One part of the mind longs for peace, for surrender, for stillness. Another part insists on vigilance, on untangling every nuance, on preparing for every unseen outcome. This tension leaves the overthinker exhausted, frustrated, and emotionally distant. They can feel present in their body, but their mind is elsewhere, always a step ahead, always reviewing, always anticipating. Relationships, too, bear the weight of this inner life. Conversations are dissected after they end. Texts are reread and analyzed for hidden meaning. Actions are interpreted endlessly, often magnifying small slights into significant betrayals. The overthinker's presence can feel partial, as if they inhabit a world both inside and outside the room simultaneously. Yet there is a quiet wisdom in this struggle. Awareness, sensitivity, and introspection are not weaknesses. They are strengths expressed too intensely, without boundaries or release. The challenge is not to erase the mind, but to recognize that thought is a servant, not a ruler. In this chapter of life, the overthinker stands at the crossroads between observation and identity. Every thought, once a simple ripple, becomes a defining current, shaping perception, shaping emotion, shaping who they believe themselves to be. The mind is no longer just a mind, it has become a lens, a measure, a mirror. Chapter 5. The cracks in control. At first, overthinking feels like mastery. The mind rehearses, predicts, and anticipates. It convinces itself that constant vigilance is safety. But over time, that perceived control begins to show cracks. What once felt protective now feels confining. Decisions endlessly weighed become paralyzing. Choices, endlessly analyzed, lose their meaning. The very act of trying to prevent pain starts to create it. These cracks are subtle at first. A sleepless night. A lingering unease. A conversation replayed obsessively until it becomes distorted. Then come the moments when thought no longer clarifies but clouds. Anxiety rises uninvited. Emotions feel heavier than they should. The mind whispers relentlessly, insisting that there is a right way to feel, a right way to act, a right way to live, and the overthinker begins to doubt every instinct, every impulse, every fleeting desire. The irony is striking. The mind, in its pursuit of security, becomes its own jailer. Overthinking, meant to protect from uncertainty, amplifies it. Every outcome feels dangerous. Every silence suspicious. Even small surprises, a phone call, a sudden change in plans, trigger a storm of imagined consequences. The overthinker begins to realize that control was never complete, and that the illusion of safety has been fragile all along. Yet this moment, fraught with tension, is also a turning point. Awareness of the cracks, of the limits of control, opens the possibility of choice. The overthinker begins to see that safety is not found in endless vigilance. The mind, once relentless, is beginning to reveal its vulnerability, and in that vulnerability lies the first glimmer of freedom. The dark side of overthinking, then, is not only exhaustion or anxiety. It is the slow recognition that mastery is partial, that control is limited, and that the mind, as powerful as it is, can no longer contain the life it observes. The cage has been built carefully, and now it trembles. Chapter 6. Learning to be here again. The moment the mind begins to falter under its own weight, a quiet possibility emerges, the chance to return to the present. Not through force, not through willpower, but through gentle attention, noticing breath, noticing the body, noticing the world without the filter of endless interpretation. This is not an immediate escape from overthinking, but the first fragile step toward coexistence with it. Healing is subtle. It begins with small acts, a pause in conversation to simply listen, a few moments spent watching the sunlight change across a wall, a recognition that thoughts are passing clouds rather than permanent landscapes. These moments do not erase the mind's habitual patterns, but they offer a glimpse of life beyond them, a life experienced rather than endlessly decoded. The overthinker learns slowly that uncertainty does not always mean danger. That unpredictability is not always a threat. That a heart can feel fully, even when the mind has questions it cannot answer. Presence becomes a quiet teacher, revealing that the body, the senses, the rhythms of life, are as real and immediate as thought itself. Relationships begin